Hi. This shows the sort of things we do in the Wisbech Camera Club. Here are a few shots from a set of 50 by 17 of our members. The presentation was originally made for an exchange with another photographic group, but we found that the greatest benefits were those of working together, of the evening of homespun entertainment, and of finding out more about each other, which was especially relevant for newer members. It really was a great success.
Now with this particular image, it was one of the club outings on a Monday night. I went up with one of the fellow members of the club, but we forgot to ask if it was on because it was such a drizzly rainy day and we didn't know it had been cancelled, but we still went ahead and we went up to Nene Valley Railway, which is near Peterborough. Well, when we got there, it was absolutely pouring down. It was drizzly, it was terrible, flat light. And we thought, what on earth are we doing here? So anyway, we walked around, started snapping a few shots and that sort of thing. And I came across this locomotive, and it's one of the biggest locomotives I've ever seen. And I had a look at it, and it was made in Germany in 1943. Well, instantly I thought, that's like the wartime, this big foreboding beast travelling along. And so I took some pictures of it. And I had in my mind that, it would be quite an intimidating shot I was after. So when I got home, I put it through the Photomatics HDR program again, and that brought out a lot of the highlights and the tones, and obviously turned it into a mono as well. But it still didn't look right because there's a lot of paraphernalia leaning on the locomotive. There was a building on the left-hand side where the bush is, and there were some other bits and pieces. So I carefully just cloned them out. There again, just using the basic tools on Element 6. And it was starting to look right, but then I thought it still had that static feel to it. So I introduced a blur to it, like a movement blur, and that helped a lot. Then I rubbed off part of the blur to make some parts sharp, and that gave a bit more detail, and added some radial blur to the wheels. And I thought, that's starting to sort of look more what I was after. I was lucky enough, there was a small cloud in the sky, the one that looks like smoke, and I actually cloned the sky across next to the funnel and managed to get it looking like smoke. I did some dodging and burning to bring out a few highlights and achieved what I had in my mind's eye, this big intimidating beast rushing past. And it just goes to show there again, if you see something, think about what you would like it to look like, and then have a go in Photoshop. It doesn't have to be hard work, it can be very enjoyable with the simplest of tools. So give it a go.
This is one of my favourite pictures and a very special moment in time. We're in India, in Bandhagar National Park. Tigers are in the wild. There are very, very few tigers to be seen. In the wildlife they are removing very, very fast indeed. And there's a danger that even in 10-20 years' time there may be none left at all. These pictures are just, to me, very special moments in time. And to see this tiger emerging from the jungle in the wild, we were very, very lucky that my wife Judy and myself had this moment to ourselves. There was nobody else around at the time. It's just one of the special moments of my life.
My second picture is called Just Walk Away. This was the first time that I had been to a reenactment and found it very interesting about the movement and the hard work that goes into organising such an event. Having seen the smoke and the battle going on behind, this gentleman then turns around and does to look as to say, I've had enough and I'm going to walk away from it all. With his vibrant colour of his helmet and yellow jacket and the smoke behind him, making a very unusual picture. I entered this was my first entry into the competition at the Wisbech Camera Club and was quite pleased with it to come away with Best Portrait, which got me further into taking pictures.
The second picture I'd like to show you tonight is entitled Flying Low. Again, this is a first. This was the first picture that I ever exhibited or put into a competition at Wisbech Camera Club. And during the season, I think it did well. I think it was Picture of the Year that year, if my memory serves me right. I've had the idea for this photograph for absolutely ages, but not having the experience in the darkroom, I didn't know how to go about putting it all together. But technology progresses. I purchased a Canon SLR, well, digital SLR, and went down to the Royal International Theatre to to take photographs of planes and see what I could get. This Harrier jump jet was on the ground underneath a camouflage net, so it was absolutely perfect for what I needed. I came home, loaded it onto the computer, selected or cut the plane out from the background, and then started to put the image together. The field is a separate image and the sky is a separate image. I always take pictures of skies whenever I'm out because I never know when I need to replace them in an image. Whether that's correct, whether it's not correct, I don't know, but I do it. I love the feel of this image with the zoom effect, and I just feel it gives a great idea of movement, and it's done quite well. I think it still holds the records for comments on ephotozine.com. And I just love the picture, and it was an idea and it came together, and I'm really pleased and I hope you like it.
Well, the shirt says everything. It's David Beckham. It's when he was playing for Manchester United. Game is against Aston Villa, and there is a little story to it. The former secretary of March Camera Club, a guy named Andrew James, is the editor of Practical Photography. I happen to work for the same company as Practical Photography. Used to be EMAP, is now a Bauer Media. I work in angling, on Angling Times. Andrew simply phoned me up and said, could I do him a favour? Could I go to Old Trafford, Manchester, and shadow the chief photographer from the News of the World? And as I'm a journalist, could I just write 4 or 5 pages for the magazine on how this guy's day went? P.S. said Andrew, you could also take your own camera. At the time, I had 2 Olympus film cameras. I guess I was the only one on the ground who didn't have digital. This was one of the images that came from it. I then put it into Photoshop. I can't remember exactly what I did. I think it's a find edges, etc, etc. I had great fun doing it. It was a fantastic day, and although I'm a Manchester United supporter, I honestly can say I do not remember the game at all. It's amazing when you're concentrating on your photography, everything just passes you by.
I'm Kelly Beatty, and I've only been doing photography for a year now. Never really thought about doing photography up until a year ago, and I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do until I started looking through pictures, and I'm thinking, wow, I wish I could do all that. So I thought maybe that's what I should learn. So I spent a few months reading books, self-teaching myself, and it just went from there really, and I started to enjoy it, and now I don't know what to do without it. So that's why I've started doing photography. Now, my first picture I took a few weeks ago was my anniversary flowers, lilies, and I was so peed off about the weather, so I thought I would give this a go with the pillowcases. So I put the pillowcases on a table near my window. I laid the flowers on it, trying to get the light right, and then I took it at an angle. And I must admit, this is my favourite one out of them all that I've done so far with the flowers.
My final image, and one of the most successful pictures that I've ever taken, is that of a kingfisher with a frog in its beak. This was taken in Holland. The birds were feeding young, flying in and out of the nest with great regularity. We were able to set up a hide quite close to the perch, and within a very few minutes the birds were starting to perform. I'm very keen on competition work, both at club, national and international level. This image has been my most successful to date, having been Print of the Year at the club. It's won several inter-club competitions and has won 11 national and international awards. It's going to be very difficult for me to beat it.
My third picture is a scene which to me captures my emotional state at my time of life. I'm now happily retired and enjoy the beauty of the Fenland landscapes. This picture was taken just after sunrise on the Wash, where you've got that beautiful golden glow just as the sun's coming up in the sky, which nicely silhouetted on it this flock of geese which had just taken off in front of me. It's a scene of peace and tranquility and captures everything that I enjoy in life today.